get picked up by a big tech company.
What Mike has built and what this team brings is it's AAA class.
And I thought, this is the model that we're going to grow Genus.
I would first look to contract out to creating coding careers where you're going to get experienced technology. The pipeline into your company for long-term growth.
So you're better off starting where you can groom and mentor and shape, people for your.
That's it. We are live. We're doing it again. Once again, thanks to everybody for showing the love, showing the support. I was super impressed with folks that came out, met me in person at Knowledge. Super excited about that. And the speaker that we have today. So I'm going to kick it over to my co-host, Donte, who's going to introduce our special guest. We're going to get into it, and he's going to drop some nuggets, I'm sure. So, Donte.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to this week's installment of our LinkedIn Friday live session, brought to you by Creating Coding Careers. So we're thrilled to have you here as we dive into another exciting conversation, guys. Before we begin, I like to kind of summarize and talk a bit about Creating Coding Careers, this nonprofit organization who helped me, also founded by Mike Roberts, who you just heard his voice, is on a mission to provide access to the technology industry for underrepresented communities. We work tirelessly to foster diversity and inclusivity in the tech world through education, mentorship, and networking. So I advise you to check us out. I encourage folks to check us out if you haven't already, okay? Now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest for today, Donte Hooker. Please show him some love in the chat, show him some love. Donte is an IT service management expert, boasting an impressive background in management and IT services. With over 20 years of experience, he's adept at building effective organizations, skillfully leveraging his expertise in areas like mentoring, process improvement, change management, and technology assessment and implementation. Specializing in IT operations, data center management, and ITIL and ITSM process design, Donte is also proficient with you guys hear this a lot, ServiceNow, okay, a leading ITSM tool in which he has multiple certifications, which we'll learn more about today, okay? So we're privileged to delve into his wealth of knowledge and experience, gaining insights into his journey. So without further ado, I'll bring him up. Welcome, Donte.
Hi, how you doing? Wow, that was me. Maybe it sounds so thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being on, man. Thank you.
No problem.
It is very impressive. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So I guess we'll just kick it off, the basics. Could you tell us a bit about, your journey into IT service management, or I should say tech in general, and what kind of attracted you to this field?
The biggest thing for me, I would say, I started off like many, went to college, got out of college, and started my first career. I started off in the help desk, answering phones, and I was on a global help desk, which kind of helped me with the international thing. So it was really cool. So I got on that help desk, answering calls, helping people over the phone. That's how I got in my first introduction into more ITSM, right? Incident management, dealing with those issues over the phone, closing out incident. So that's how I got started. Then as I worked my way up through that organization that I used to work for at that time, I got into many different areas, IT security, IT operations, and overall landed in ITSM program management, which I was in charge of the tools and monitoring. And that's when I got my hands on ServiceNow. So being a process person or IT operations person who knew process a lot at this time in my career, right? And then trying to roll out something in another platform, I won't give the name, really people know it, starts with an R, but going with that platform, and we couldn't just roll this out. So they tasked us to find a new solution, and ServiceNow gave us a cold call at that time. So looking at ServiceNow, I was never a coder at this point in my career, never. And they said, hey, we can give you ServiceNow. Donte can actually configure it. 3 months later, I was a ServiceNow developer. And it took off from there. So I did that implementation there, and I went into consulting. Not immediately, maybe like a year later, just kind of seeing the market again. I'm from California, so I was in the Bay Area at the time. It was really booming in the Silicon Valley, which is where I was. So I had the blessing of just being in that atmosphere. So being there just kind of gave me that open door. So when you're next to a Cisco who's rolling it out, next to a Facebook who's rolling it out, next to a Google who's rolling it out, right? Everybody's talking about this buzzword ServiceNow. So I got into it, and I was actually in it before they actually had a certification. So I was in the user group in the Bay Area that would actually, help formulate the actual first CSA. Okay, wait, be very clear. I did not make the exam. I'm saying I was in the user group that they piloted and showed us it first. That's it. Okay, I want to be very clear. I want to make sure I quote that right. So it was very, very, very fortunate. So when I saw it, and I had a good friend of mine kind of pushed me into consulting because I was never a consultant at that time. And so I went into it just trying to figure out if that's something I would do. Did it on the side a little bit, and all of a sudden I just full blown. And so I've been doing it now 15 years. I'm certified pretty much in everything at this point: CSA, CAD, ITSM, IRM, which is formerly known as GRC, SPM, HRSD, and then ultimately the Certified Technical Architect. Soon to potentially I'll be applying for the CMA coming up here pretty soon. So that's just briefly, just giving you a little bit about what my background is. Yes, nice. And a ServiceNow OG.
You threw a lot of acronyms out there, but I guess the last one's probably the most important. So can you break down what a CMA is?
Thank you. I'm glad you asked that question. So I did throw out some acronyms. IT Service Management is the ITSM certification. CSA, Certified System Administrator. Then I had the IRM, which is Certified Implementation Specialist for Integrated Risk Management, or you might hear Governance, Risk, and Compliance. HRSD is Human Resource Service Delivery. And then you had CTA, which I am, which is a Certified Technical Architect. Then lastly is a Certified Master Architect. That's the one I'm hoping to get approved for in the next class.
That's the tippity top, right?
Yeah.
That is it. That is the epitome of when that's the one I want. I covet that one.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those certifications, and man, with over 20 years, with all years of experience, man, you've seen IT operations and data center management like evolve, man. I know you have. So, what are like the most significant changes you've witnessed, during that period, man?
The biggest thing to me is when you see one of the first biggest things in IT that I saw in my career is at first, can we just get a ticket for everything, right? The biggest automation tool when I first got in was getting monitoring to trigger a ticket in the tool. That was like if you had that, you were like gold at those years, right? Then when you got past that, then it was automating the CMDBs, configuration management database, getting all your computer systems, all of your network gear, all of your servers inside of a tool, so I can now do incidents against them and report on them. That was the next huge thing. Now, of course it is. Let's automate everything, right? AI, But those are the things I've seen throughout my career. And again, I'll say it, getting monitoring to create a ticket. Then from there, automating the integration of your CMDB or configuration management databases. And then moving into automation in other places, meaning like, hey, if this happens, trigger an incident, trigger a request, trigger a problem, whatever may have you. So we can kind of see the thing kind of shifting. Everybody's looking to do more with less, but I'm still an OG. You're still going to need somebody sitting there to help that AI to actually do what it's saying can automate. You can automate the script, but do you know where to put the script? Anyway, I'm going to step off that soapbox for 2 seconds, but
no, it makes sense. But yeah, that definitely makes sense. As far as the changes, man. So and me, I'm kind of relatively new compared to, years of experience to the tech industry. So that's really interesting for me to hear as well. So as an expert, man, in ITIL and ITSM process design, man, what do you believe are the key components in like creating effective ITSM strategies?
First is to understand it. Yeah. First is to understand it. I think a lot of times, I see in these cohorts and these next gen programs, all these training programs, what I would say to all of them, implement a way to help them learn the actual process. I can get anybody to create a field, to create a request form, but do they know why? And can they tell the customer what's the best way of doing a thing? Now, you might say, Donte, man, I'm 22, 23. How am I going to do that? How am I know? The thing is that you're going to know by experience, and then you're going to know by getting the education. So first is the education. Now we say, what is the education in ServiceNow? That's part of it. The other part is the process. And then you'll hear me say this. I say this all the time. Know the why, right? So if you don't know what incident management is, look and learn what incident management is, the process, not the tool of ServiceNow incident management, but what the process is. And I'll speak one, ITIL, information technology, information library. Sorry, just almost threw a blank. That is a certification that I also tell, like I mentor 5 or so mentees, that I say, get that, understand it, because that's going to tell you why an incident should be created, right? Then I give examples, but that is the main thing. Know the why. Then once you apply the tool, right, it only can enhance what you do. Then you'll get the experience because you already know what an incident is, what a problem is, what a change is. Now I can give you a little bit better. And people like me who hire like young devs, right? We know that you don't know this, right? We're not anybody who's expecting you to come in to be somewhat similar to me is unrealistic, okay? When I say consultative, you're not going to turn into me over 20 years and be that in 1 year, right? Even with me, somebody coaching you, but you will be better. So when you come in with that already understanding that information, then I can teach you ServiceNow. Then I have, my mentees tell me something, right? Because I am an older person in this space at this point. I'm not old, by the way, but I'm an older person in the space. So I listen to, the ones who are coming in because I'm so old school in ServiceNow. I still do things the older way. So I had someone who works with me now. Her name is Emily. She shows me a lot of cool stuff that I was like, hey, I didn't even know that existed because I'm still used to my old way, if that makes sense. But that's what we have to do. Anyway, I hope I answered that question.
And I think there's like so many capabilities on the platform. It's impossible for any one person to know them all, right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
One thing I want to kind of go back to that you mentioned at the very beginning, and I'm kind of curious how relevant that is today. There's probably some changes throughout the COVID years, but you mentioned meetups, and I'm assuming maybe Snugs, those are ServiceNow user groups, maybe were a part of that ability for you to talk to other people, ask questions, kind of understand. Talk a little bit about like what does that look like over the last few years? Are you seeing a resurgence of that ability to network and mentor and and get really that effect of how are other people using it? What are other people doing? Sort of like that scenario.
Mm-hmm. If you see the resurgence, it's actually getting resurged. It was dying a really painful death for a long time. Snugs were becoming sales pitches. Snugs were just, it wasn't good, and there used to be these user groups, used to be techies like us, developers come together from different companies and share. When I first got there, man, I was with people like at Palo Alto Networks, I was at Facebook, I was with Google, and they would host these user groups and they were really like tech sessions. Right? Hey, man, how did you get that to work? And we shared and swapped things. And these people I still connect to today. Like when I go to Knowledge, we seek each other. I don't care where they are, where they work for. We always hang because that just, how it is, tight-knit community. So I think right now, like I'm in that space trying to resurrect. I took over the Charlotte user group or meetup group because I'm getting ready to start that. We need to re-champion that. So I'll be launching a series of just Zooms and meetups that's going to be techie. I'm not selling nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to be showing people how to do this thing and then how to make sure you know how it works from, again, knowing the why, right? And keep that going because that's how we're going to produce the next generation. Not just teaching them ServiceNow, but they need to know the why again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard we're rebooting the San Diego Snug. So those of you that are here in SD, we're going to try and get SD rebooted and same thing.
The original Snug, by the way.
Bring back. Yeah, for sure. We got a few questions. Donte, you want to highlight a few questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do got a few questions. Nice. Let's see. I'll go back up and try to get the first couple. So thanks you guys for dropping them in. Keep dropping them in. Let's see. We got Anna Davis saying, how hard and how long is a path to becoming a ServiceNow architect?
Good question, Anna. I think the biggest thing is it's a tough, I wouldn't say like super grueling. It's about when you get to a level of experience, they say like they want to, I think it's 5 years in or something like that. But I think the overall process is mainly about knowing how to put together presentation and answer a requirement, right? An overall large scale implementation requirement. So if you want to say it's hard, if you're a brand new person, it's hard. If you got like 4 or 5 years in, it'll get a little easier. If you got 10 years in, it's going to be mainly the pain points is knowing how to put together the data and the information. So it's tiers. If I could tier it for you really quick, is this. One, let's get the tiers of implementations in so you can understand how to answer these questions, right, from a consultative perspective, because a lot of it, see, a certified technical architect, I'm not just building things, I'm showing you how it should be built, right? So I haven't touched code yet. I'm just giving you background and saying, here's how it should be built based on my knowledge of the platform, right? So that's, again, getting the experience, getting the knowledge. Then the next tier is how do I present it in a slide deck, many different, artifacts, PDFs, whatever it may be, but mainly in a slide deck. What I mean by that is a PowerPoint presentation. You'll give that information and present it to C-level, VP level management, how to present yourself to them and show that you have confidence in what you're presenting and back that up. So I know I kind of gave you a lot, but it's tough. But when you have the years of experience, it's not easy, but it's easier than you would be if you try to just go into it now.
Yeah. My favorite quote is the Greg LeBond quote about, it never gets easy, but you get faster.
Yes, totally agree. That is the best.
It's always going to be,
that's the best way to say it.
A challenge,
Always a challenge, always.
What else we got? What other questions? I see people shouting out. Yes, I'm huge proponent of let's reboot these snugs, get people together, especially now that we can get together, in person. That's always, it was amazing being, at Knowledge and seeing all these people in 3D, right? We were talking a little bit before about like just what it's like to, in real life see a Jace or a Chuck or a Donte and like really be able to just like break bread and like chop it up and not be in this, boxes on the screen. But that said, they'll be in the local community. It looks like, yes.
Yeah, I see Kali in here. I just want to shout out to Kali real quick. Kali? Thanks for hopping in with us.
Yeah, Kali, one of the favorite people there. Yeah, one thing I want to shout out to is that someone said in there about Spokane. Was there Snug in Spokane? There's a meetup group in Seattle. Just and if you want to hit me on LinkedIn, I can get you that details for the meetup in Seattle. For those who said Tracy Curry said that. So if you want to do that, Tracy, I'll give you that information.
Cool. And another question, what are the best aspects that you like about the ServiceNow platform?
Okay, for me, I know it's going to sound like really silly, but I enjoy the hard stuff and then I can solve it. So I mean by this, when I can not just automate, I don't mean like automatically do things, AI stuff automate, but when I can take someone's process that's broken in their organization and they hand it to me, right? And they says, can you make sense of this? And then I can do it, whether it's with an existing application ServiceNow or build them a custom app. That is the beauty of the platform that I love. I can envision something and I can go do it, whether it's out of the box already because they didn't built it by now, or I can solve it by building them something custom. Now, at this point in my career, I enjoy custom because I didn't probably did it all by now. So I want to do something new. But that's what I enjoy. When a customer comes to me and they say, Donte, we got this crazy thing, man. We don't know what we're doing. It's costing us money. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the day, I help them with the thing, whether I built it, I helped them implement it. And then that process is seamless. So that's my favorite. Now, my favorite application of ServiceNow has to be IRM GRC. I know it's kind of weird, but that's my favorite.
It's okay. Tough question, but it's just us, just the three of us here in the room. What's your least favorite part of the ecosystem or module? Like, what do you just like? It's your kryptonite that you got to like hand it off to somebody else because, like, even though you can do it, I'm sure you got the skill. It's like
I'm gonna give it to you. Probably right now, my least favorite has to be the new UI stuff.
Oh, yeah?
That new UI designer, man, all that stuff. And I would say that's my kryptonite is Portal. I learned as soon as I got Service Portal and widgets down, they come with the new UI builder. You know what I mean? I was like, it's like, can you make it? If you're gonna do drag and drop, just give me drag and drop. I don't want drag and drop with some type of craziness to it, and I know they're gonna make it better. ServiceNow always comes out with the first release, and it's like, dude, how do we do it? Then they hear the feedback, and then they kind of enhance it. But that's my least favorite right now.
Giving them the feedback, so
yeah.
Sometimes it's good to just go old school with service portals and
straight up
bread and butter. Nice.
Yeah. We got another question here too by Emily Enfinger, which also shout out. Thank you for being here, Emily. I know that's a next gen grad right there. So familiar face right there. Donte, for people who are new to the platform and PDIs, what would you suggest building first in their PDIs? For a lot of people, know what to touch and build can first be overwhelming.
So this is a good question, Emily. I think the biggest thing is I tell people is that build what you know, and they say, what does that mean? Okay, I had some people that I work with that were brand new to the platform, and they came to me and they says, Donte, I want to build an application, I just don't know what. And I said, what do you know? She says, well, I know yoga. I do yoga every day. I go to classes. I'm an instructor. And I said, boom, there it is. How do I sign up? And she told me exactly how do I sign up. If you see where I'm going with this, right? She told me the whole process. And I said, that's what you should be building for your class. A whole yoga portal that shows people how to sign up for yoga classes, requests for new instructors, how to be an instructor. All of that should be in your portal in your application. Boom, you have it. So then you can speak to it educationally, right? You can actually present on that. Like she was so passionate about it. And I said, boom, you can present that. You can put that in a PowerPoint presentation. You can show everybody how you were able to do this thing, right? And then that's how I do it. I just ask people, what do they know, right? And now how can you put a process around it? And I'll give you another example is my daughter who's 12. Yes, she's learning ServiceNow. So this summer, she's going to do just that. What does she know? She knows how to ask daddy and mommy for money. So we got a mom and daddy request that she's going to create in a service portal. If you get where I'm going with that, right? She knows that. That's what she knows. I know to go to daddy and mommy for money. So just, I know throw a little humor in there, but that's just how you do build what you know and you can speak to. That way, when somebody asks you a question, you have the answers, and that's the consultative part. So consultative mixed in with building gives you a great career.
And that's one piece that I think a lot of people, because I constantly are telling early career developers, like they say that there's this catch-22, like how do I get experience without a job? How do I get a job without experience? And I always tell them, like, work on passion projects, work on stuff you're interested in, and then that becomes great conversation starters when you're out networking and you're trying to create connections with people, because you can show them real world things that you did and not just like waving pieces of paper and certificates and things like that, which are cool. They show, certain milestones that you've accomplished, but it's not the same as like when you start showing the yoga app and they can see the passion. And that's when you got an engineer that's like willing to solve problems, right?
Exactly.
So 100% agree. You got to go with what you know. So
yes,
yeah. We got a lot more questions flowing in the chat, so we're gonna keep them rolling here. We got Eric Brown, another familiar face. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for dropping in. I'm currently looking into solutions consulting. Thoughts on the academy? And by the academy, is he meaning? I'm thinking you mean next gen. I think I'm.
If you're speaking of next gen, I'll just speak in general about them all. And this is not a knock. I love those programs. I think they're great. So when I say this, I'm not saying it's bad. They're all great. I just want, if they're not doing it, all of those programs, I want them to mix in process. I just want them to mix in ITIL. I want them to mix in, just say, hey, we're going to teach you CSA, the basic of ServiceNow. Then I'm going to take you through ITIL and help you understand what an incident problem and change is. So then the next move is, because when you see that in these these employers looking for new people, that differentiates you from the average person. And then two, when you start going down that path, you could just have that. So to me, just that's what it is. I think they're all great and it's good what they're doing. But if we just add that, and if they won't mix them in, just make sure you add that part to it. But that's just really my feedback. I think they're great ultimately.
Nice.
Agreed. I see some folks saying SC Academy. Apologies, folks. I wasn't familiar with that, but great advice regardless. We got Lil Charles Alexander with another question. He says, do they have any of this going on here in Atlanta that anybody knows of? And what advice can you give to someone who is new to this ServiceNow stuff, brand new?
Oh man, I got a ton. Charles, I'm gonna say, Lil Charles, listen, just hit me up. I can give you a lot of detailed information. I'll start with ServiceNow, developer.servicenow.com first. You can get your own PDI or personal development instance. So a developer instance, Then you can go and start down that path. They have training on there for free. And then also nowlearning.com is another one as well that you also can sign up for free and take some base courses there. So those are just some 2 easy resources that you can get to. There's also meetup groups down there in Atlanta. So again, hit me up and I can give you that information.
Cool. Thank you for that, man. I have a question actually myself. What is your approach to change management? Like, how does your approach to change management help in successfully implementing new technologies or processes? I know you're familiar with that.
All day. So it just depends on if we're talking organizational change, which is a lot of it I deal with right now. When you're talking about organizational change management, it's really getting the client customers or anybody you're dealing with, even if your internal customers on board. It's not just training, but helping them understand what is being implemented and taking them along the journey in the way. Don't wait until you build a thing to show them either the design or give them your ideas. A lot of times that will help stop in their tracks or stop you in your tracks to do throwaway work or use tech. Or I'll throw the word out there, tech debt. That means you built something that says, no, I don't like that. And you got to scrap it and start all over. Right. So that's one of the things I do. Organizational change is really helping the customer throughout the beginning, middle, and end. So a lot of people wait till they get to the testing phase to get the feedback. You get the feedback throughout the life cycle. Okay.
Nice. And can you kind of share with us some of the challenges that you faced throughout the years when managing like data centers and IT operations, and like how you navigated your way through certain obstacles?
For me, I was a young man in the older man's game. I came in through a company that was like 150 years old when I got there. Everybody was like 20 years in. So I would just be honest, I was fortunate and I listened. You know what I mean? I didn't speak. A lot of times we do as young, we are very eager. We like, oh man, I know this thing, man. I'm from the new school. You guys are old. I'm gonna tell you right now, nothing is better than just be quiet and listen to these OGs.
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of people who was 20 years my senior, and they groomed me. That's how I learned this process stuff very well. And I was learning to do things that they sent me all over the world because I just listened. And I think the biggest thing is that is one key thing. So learning at IT operations, I had two older gentlemen that was like, again, they done it all. They was already done. They was like, hey, they call me young, YB, young buck. Go to Singapore, man. Go see what they want. This is a good experience for you. So I think the biggest thing is first listen, and that's how you gauge it. But then just me and IT with navigating it, just understanding once I got that knowledge, wasn't scared to show it. In the very beginning, like right now, you wouldn't have got this person speaking in front of you, right? They pushed me out there. They pushed me out. And I keep saying they, right? It's like, I don't want to say their names, Philip and Ed. Those two people, and they know who they are. Those two people pushed me out there. So this is what I do for folks that I talk to. Don't be scared to say what you know or don't know, right? So that's how you navigate any IT, any career period for that matter. Don't be scared to show what you know or don't know, right? That's the best thing ever.
I got to jump off in just a second. So I want to follow up and give you a chance to give some roses. Shout out anybody else that you think might be, good potential guest on the program, or just someone that people should know about. And obviously we'll try and do some research and throw their information in the show notes, but who are maybe one or two people that we should keep an eye out for, and that you watch as like a thought leader in the ServiceNow space.
Well, you probably had him on. I mean, I follow Chuck Tomasi. I mean, everybody knows Chuck. CJ is definitely, and that's one. Mr. Wesley, the Duke. You guys know Robert Fedoric. Yep. There's just several others, man. Just get drawn back. Those are the main three that I literally look up to and actually talk to. Lombardo, Michael Lombardo. Sorry, GlideFast. Nathan out there at New Rocket. A lot of people don't know Nathan and Mike and I go way back. It's really great to see those guys, but it's really good. Those are the people that I look at and was like, yes, you know what I mean? This thing can really work. And I think those people, man, you're talking about information, man. They have so much information. I talked to probably Corey and CJ, excuse me, and Robert the most out of all, and then Lombardo here and there. But it's really cool, man. It's those are the people that I look at, and I would say would definitely give great benefit if they haven't been on here already to be on here. And I have so many. I can give you a list of people, but those are the main people.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely want to try and reach out to them and have folks know that, like, hey, these are people that you should be following on LinkedIn. These are people that will be kicking out a ton of knowledge through a bunch of different channels. So that's how I level up and figure out, okay, what direction should we be looking in? How should we be sort of like, you got to try and skate to where the puck is, not where it is right now, but where it's going to be. So that's, to me, that's where I get a lot of insight from big heavy hitters like you. So I got to jump off. I'll let you guys keep going for a little bit longer. It's been great. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike. Yeah, thanks, Mike, for coming on. Let's see. To continue here, and always a pleasure to have Mike on with us. Let's see. We got Manly, who is another ex-apprentice of ours, alumni of ours. Shout out, Manly, man. Hearing your journey is super inspiring. He says, as a ServiceNow developer working in ITSM, what route would you take to work on the consulting side?
Man, that's loaded. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. So the biggest thing here is it's not easy. I'm not even gonna lie to you that it's just a simple thing to do and go do it. The main thing is just be out there. If you really want to consult, is that present yourself as that, right? Number one. Number two, what you want to do is seek out those consulting gigs. Don't be scared of contracts, right? When I first started consulting, you had the super big people, the Deloittes, the Accentures out there, right? Wasn't a lot of partners when I first started. So it was just that, or, you kind of consulted on your own a little bit. So I took a lot of contract with companies directly. So if you want to do things like consulting, do that. Like, don't be scared of contract work through other agencies that are not part of the ecosystem per se. They're just looking for a resource, right? They need somebody who knows ServiceNow to come help them out. Those are probably some of the best learning jobs that you'll find, because they're willing to work with you because they know they need somebody. You need a job, right? You come and consult for a while. Now you're learning and getting more experience by doing these contracts. And as you do many of them, all of a sudden you're going to be doing different things every time you do a contract. This is how I was able to gain my experience, because I did so many different implementations. So I went from an ITSM to an IRM to HR to custom application, and you just keep doing that year after year. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, I know all of this, and I'm answering questions that I think I could answer. So that's just a route, just briefly, that I would take. And if whoever wants to speak to me after this, man, you hit me on LinkedIn. We can schedule a Zoom call, and you'll find that I'm easily to get, as long as you can get my time, but I'm easy to connect with. And then I would definitely happy to sit down with you and give you just more information if you want it. Oh, thank you for dropping my LinkedIn in there, whoever did that. Appreciate you both. Did I lose you? Can you hear me?
There we go. Sorry about that. You guys lost me for a second. But yeah, we got I just dropped the LinkedIn for you guys, just in case you want to go check in with Donte, follow in. But we got a LinkedIn user. I don't see exactly what the name is here, but they say when you're taking a project or application from being based in a ServiceNow instance to Service Portal based, what should be the focus?
Okay, for instance, my studio application is very detailed. Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I got you. So just think of the portal like this. The portal is just a presentation layer. All I'm doing is presenting what I have on the back end side, or if you will, on the application side. So if you want to display, I'll just take incident management, right? It's already there. So table exists. If you want to display a list of incidents, there's a widget that's called list. You can configure that widget to actually just point at the incident table. So there's so much you can do there. But when you're in your studio application, that is not where you design your portal. In your studio application is not where you design your portal. I said it twice so you can get it. You want to design the portal in the portals application, and then you create your new portal. The studio is where you're going to create your tables, right? Your scripts, your business rules, things like that. Now it will show up your portals there, but all your configuration of your portal will be in either the portal page designer, et cetera, things like that. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Perfect answer. If you ask me, that actually answered the same, that I had that same question. Finally, as the tech industry, not finally, but as the tech industry continues to kind of evolve, man, how do you stay updated with the latest trends and innovations, man, with all, like, you've been in it so long. So, how does this continuous learning kind of impact how you work, man?
What's funny is it's actually easier for me, as you could imagine, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, like, oh my God, it's so easy. But I kind of grew up with ServiceNow. I started before ServiceNow named its releases. They were in spring and fall, and we're really right at Aspen, right? That's the A release. And so I seen it from A to now, U, right? We're coming up on V, W, X, Y, Z, almost pretty much. I'm trying to hit Z at some point. So I've come up with it. So I was able to iterate, meaning add just a little bit every time they add a new one. So when a new application come out, I really just only had to learn the new application, right? I mean, yeah, they had enhancements to other things, but it's like, all right, you're talking about 10, 15, 20% of these other areas and then new application. So it was easier for me because like, all right, I already know incident management, change management. Oh, they did that new thing over there? Okay, great. All right, what's this new app though? Okay, let me go learn that, right? And then I'll learn a new app. And then it was like an easy thing than me learning this big thing. That's why I feel for those in the ecosystem today. You come in, they got a whole suite application. When I came in, it was just ITSM, and then they shortly released Agile later. So it was like, that was it. So like I said, I grew up with it. So I had a little bit easier experience of digesting because I didn't have to take on all of this. So like, again, when I tell folks who I talk to about ServiceNow, don't try to take it all on. Don't try to learn everything. You want to learn ITSM? That's what you learn. That's what you focus on. I don't care what anybody says. If you want to focus on ITSM, stay in ITSM. Then once you get that down, right? And I'm not saying don't get other certs. I'm saying if that's what you want to consult in, you do that thing and you learn that thing. And then you move to the next application and you learn that. And you keep going like that instead of saying, I want ITSM, this, all these different applications at one time. Now, the only route you take is CSA, System Certified Admin. You can go CAD, Certified App Developer, and then ITSM, IT Service Management, or any other application, one at a time. So the other, the base 2 is fine, but there's other specific suites, one at a time.
Yeah, gotta hone your focus. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. The same user, I think, commented. Has a question. Said, "What feature do you wish more people were familiar with?"
GRC, man, IRM/GRC, and that's Integrated Risk Management or Governance, Risk, and Compliance. That is an application that has less code and more data driven. But a lot of people, it's not very well. It's not fun. You're dealing with auditors and, stuff like that. So people don't like dealing with audit, right? So, but that's actually my favorite application because of that nature. And I get the enjoyment. Remember you asked me earlier, what do I enjoy most is building a thing for a customer's process. That application for those customers, because they are the least IT people in those type of organizations, I get the most gratifications when they know the thing because they're learning ServiceNow. Their process is coming out of Excel spreadsheets into a tool that they're able to work and get what they need. So that's I would say IRM/GRC.
Nice. And they always talking about diversifying tech and having this industry be more diverse. So I just wanted to ask, were there any difficulties you faced, kind of growing in tech from an African American male standpoint? Any barriers that you faced, that was maybe specific to, I would just say, the minority class, right? Not even just African Americans, but all the, LGBTQ, the women. Was there any barriers you kind of saw in tech?
I'm still seeing them. I mean, I would love to give you a fairy tale story. And I'm 20 years in. I've not been a VP ever. I think that's a tragedy for me. That's a goal of mine, but I'll take that to the side. But I think the biggest thing is that we're few far in between, man. When I see somebody that's a minority or somebody that looks like me, if I see another Black woman, I shout out to Kali again, I like run to them and flock to them because I really want to make sure that we are present here. I'm here now not to sell or do anything other than to help us be more present. You know what I mean? I don't get anything out of this. I'm not being paid to do anything. I want presence. So that's really one of my motivations, one of my top motivations, right? Is to try to help somebody, who's getting into this that looks like me, and it's very important, which is why my daughter's going to learn this. Like she's going to know this, whether she does it or not, she's going to know. I have 2 daughters. Both of them will know this, but it's just one of those things, man. And it's hard because hiring power is key. Hiring power is key. And if we can't hire, how do you get more? Right. And then so it's and then with the market being so flooded the way it is, with the layoffs happening everywhere the way it is, then we got these new classes of 1 million people coming in. That's new. 20% look like us and are minority specific. And it's like, how do I, that's one of my moments of like, damn, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say damn, y'all. How do I get more into a system? Because I know I have very well people capable who are minorities who can do this. That's why I tell people, you get to me, I will show you whatever you want to know. I have people who email me and just come in. I want a Zoom call, man. I'm trying to do something for work, man. I'm like, hey, man, I got 20 minutes. I can show you. Either give you the solution or we're going to do it together on the Zoom call. That's why I do that. That's why I do that, because the better they are, the better the ecosystem will be. We need diversity in the ecosystem. I know I'm on the soapbox right now, but you got me going.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
I am, because I'm tired of it. I go to a room, it's just me. And I want to see more of me. And I don't mean just a black man. I mean a minority man, a minority woman, just anything in that space. I need to see more of that. So sorry. All right. Down tight, down off soapbox.
No, I love it. I love it. So I guess on the flip side, I would ask, as a person who became so, successful in it, I would just ask, how do we navigate, right, to overcome that? How did you navigate to actually overcome those barriers that I just asked you about, right?
People connections. It's not what you know, just what you know. It's who you know and how well you know them. That last part is even more clear, because you may know somebody, but you don't know them well, right? So those are the things, man. You connect to everybody. I think, and I know we shout out to Kali, and Kali, I'm sorry, I'm bringing you up a lot here, but if you saw her story, she connected to everybody. She was like, I'm here, I'm out here, and she just put herself out there, and don't be scared. I was not that brave in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that is one of the major ways that you connect. Knowledge was a huge thing that we did, that if you're not going to knowledge, you should find a way to get there. If there's possibility, I know about financial and stuff like that, but if there's a way you can get there, you get there, because that is where connections are made. That's how you get that next job, that next contract. Those are the places you need to be. That is the golf course, if you understand what I'm saying. Knowledge is the golf course. That's where you meet everybody, and you meet them in their, in your own space. So they get to meet the real you meet the real them, and then you form a bond. And many people have gotten jobs and contracts just by being at knowledge and not, just not knowing, just showing up at the right place. All of a sudden I'm in the VIP booth, and all of a sudden I'm talking to the CEO of the company, and then they're needing somebody like me, and they like me, boom, and then you got a job. So those are the type of things. Anyway, you got me.
Nice. No, those are gems, man. Speaking of Knowledge 23, man, I know you went to Knowledge 23 this year. I just want to hear your experience, and how that went. And I guess, from my standpoint, I'm a person who I'm definitely planning on going to Knowledge in the next few years or so. So I'm just like, just trying to see everybody's perspective on it, and how you navigated it.
Knowledge was great, man. I mean, being away, I've been probably to almost every Knowledge with an exception, or maybe like 3 or 4 since the beginning. I missed like the first 2. I think it was one in New Orleans, but I've been almost all of them since. And that little break we had for COVID, it got a little mundane for a while, because people was like, knowledge, whatever, and we like to get together and socialize. But this one was a re-energized, right? Because we've been away for a while. So it's like plugging in. Plus, you got the new people coming in there so much on fire. And for me, because I'm on LinkedIn and dropping my little tidbits here and there, people were running up to me just excited. Like, hey, I got this thing, man. I think I had so many sessions outside of the expo center, just sitting down, helping people do solutions or helping them with their code. It was so fun. That alone was fun for me. Seeing people excited. Then they needed help. Then I'm able to help them. You can see that's my thing, help, and so that was great. And then also linking up with all my old friends. So that was really, really, really cool. Just going there to do that. And again, with that networking thing, of course, I networked and met new people from the next gen programs. We had a Black community meetup, which was really great, which is going to be launched here soon, which is going to be cool. So that alone, just the connections, the meetups, the workshops were awesome. The ones that I attended. So it's just fun. And I just say those who haven't been, plan to, whenever you can go. That would definitely help your career.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And that's me included, right? I'm taking notes, man. I appreciate you for having your time, man. For giving us your time, man. I'm looking and making sure we don't have any extra questions. Anybody drop any questions if you guys want to. I want to be respectful of your time, man. But any final pieces of advice that you would like to kind of leave the audience with? Any final words, man, you want to leave them with?
I think the biggest thing that I want to leave is I say this every time. Know the why, y'all. Know the why. Know why what you're doing. And if you don't know it, learn it. And when all else fails, you don't know the path, find someone who knows the path. Hi, I'm someone, and connect to them and ask for their time. I am very freely giving of time that I have. Again, I don't always have an enormous amount of time, I'm sure, but I always book time with people if they ask for it. And I would tell you, hey, it might be in a week, it might be in 2 weeks, but hey, I can fit you in here if you want to talk. I can fit you in there if you want to talk. And actually just give you just more detailed things that I could probably give that said person who wants to reach out. So that's what I would just leave you with. Don't be scared to I'm human. Okay. You can don't be scared to approach me with anything, as far as this ecosystem. I will be more than happy to help.
Love it. Love it. I appreciate it, man. And I'm I kind of see a pattern of that of a lot of people in the ServiceNow ecosystem, and it just draws me closer and closer. And I just hope to see a lot of different, we're going to have a lot of different folks on here from different, platforms, hopefully try to get some other companies in here. And so I want to try to compare, and contrast that, because it's really a good community that I see in ServiceNow. And so that's a really good advice to hear, that people can just always get some help. So thanks everybody for tuning in this evening. I don't see any questions or anything like that. So please, yes, reach out to Donte if you have any questions. Is there anything that you are releasing or any new projects, anything you want folks to know about before we head out?
Me?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Say it one more time. I missed you on that one.
If there's any releases, or are you releasing any projects, any websites, anything that you want folks to know about?
Yeah, okay. I guess I'll say it. I told you so. I am releasing a book coming out later this year. It's just basically being Black in IT, and just kind of help tell my story about how did I get to where I am, understanding, the different things to the Silicon Valley, and then ultimately navigating the space of ServiceNow, being me. So, that's pretty much what I got going, and it's going to be fun.
Nice. Looking forward to that. Thank you everybody for your time. Looking forward to seeing you guys next Friday. Thank you everybody for your questions, and shout out everybody who came in. Even if we didn't mention you, still appreciate your time. Still appreciate you coming in. Everybody have a good evening.
You as well.